What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Different vibe at this moment because we are not just on the daytime. It's also night. Spirit works at all times. All right. This message here, I'm literally walking, having a conversation with myself, and I'm noticing places where I adapt myself. I'm noticing the areas in which where I believe that something can happen. I'm noticing that I also contradict that because I'm like, there's a very quiet doubt that's like, how and why? How can that happen? And I've never seen it happen before. I just got through talking with myself, and just telling myself that why can't it? Reminding myself, like I was mentioning in the previous video, reminding myself, challenging those thought patterns, reminding myself that there's been so many things that have been pleasant that has happened that I couldn't have imagined how it was going to happen or if it was going to happen. I can't take credit for that I knew, and I separated my mind and spoke to it, personified it. Hey, Mr. Mind, you didn't know how that situation was gonna happen. That situation came, it presented itself. God presented that. If it was up to you, you wouldn't have known that could happen. And another one of my patterns that I'm getting over and I'm healing, which is a very prevalent one right now, is seeking validation. And this is shadow work that's brought that to me, because in my conscious mind, I would consider myself, I don't seek validation. I would consider myself a fairly confident person, but yeah, that's better lighting. But in doing the shadow work, and really paying attention to some of my patterns, I noticed that when I have like an awakening moment where I'm feeling really good, and I'm starting to understand something, it's like I'll take it to other people, or I'll be so quick to share it. And on one end, I realize that's just being a giving person and just wanting to share my enthusiasm. But on another end, I realize that's me seeking validation. That's me seeking somebody else to agree or say, hey, yeah, that's important too. Yeah, I see that. And I say that it's a beautiful thing to have, man, but it's such a trap. It's such a trap. And I just come to a point in my journey, like I say, it can be a beautiful thing, but I'm at a point in my journey where I'm trying to give that up. I'm trying to transmute that for something higher. I don't want to need validation from anybody. And it's not that I want to be like, can't nobody tell me shit, because no, I value being teachable, being able to be teachable and open to reproach. I want that, but at the same time, in a very balanced way, I want to be able to validate myself deeply, because in a conscious way, I feel like I validate myself, but subconsciously I realize that. And that's the power of doing that shadow work. The nightscape, we call it shadow work. That's the value of doing that shadow work. Shadow work is going to show you things about yourself that's prevalent, that has always been there, perhaps, that you know, you don't like that's not pretty. It may be things that you don't like about yourself, or you try to change instantly. Instead of sit with it and respect it, you try to dismiss it. Um, and the crazy thing, and we all have them. And the crazy thing is, I feel like it's gifts in your shadows. It's gifts in your shadow. Um, it's gifts tucked away in the shadow. Like, if you find yourself being a gossiper, one of my shadows I share with y'all is, like, I had a problem with people who gossip. I didn't like people who gossip, right? I didn't like that. I didn't like people talking about other people. It's a whole reason why. There's a whole family dynamic and a pattern as to why. But as I started doing shadow work, I started to recognize that no, I did like gossip. I did like to hear the news about what's going on, and and I still feel a sense of shame about that. You know what I'm saying? Because I am aware of the negative ramifications, or the negativity that can come out of gossip. You know, but I realize I do entertain it because there's things about it that I appreciate. I like a juicy story. Um, I like hearing about things. Like, let's say I would say I'm entertained by it. You know, um, here's how I'm transmuting it. First off, I embrace it because, like I say, it was something that when other people did, I didn't like it, and I would try to keep myself from doing it. Um, but it just was a part of me. And then what I realized after embracing it and acknowledging it, like seeing, just accepting the fact that I did, like I either partook in it by listening to other people talk about somebody else. I wouldn't put my 2 cents in, because yes, I still value, not shedding that type of, not spreading rumors about people and lying on them. But there is that part of me that, like I said, as I started to embrace it, I realized I'm just a very curious person. I am curious, and that curiosity can lead to nosiness. And as I started to embrace that, that I'm nosy, I can be nosy. First it's hard, because I don't want to associate myself with it. I felt like I wanted to hurry up and like change it. Let me not be like that. But that's not the purpose of shadow work. The purpose of shadow work is to see characteristics that you have that for whatever reason you might be suppressing because you feel like it's negative, or because you feel like it's ugly. But those things make you whole. And I would strongly suggest that we do that with spirit too. We do that with God too. I strongly suggest that. Like, the universe has some shadows that we may not want to accept. But like I say, y'all, I'm the more I'm going down this path, I'm realizing that there are gifts in the shadow. Me accepting my nosiness, that I can be nosy, it led me to seeing that I'm just a curious person. I'm a curious person. And I can choose now what I can now choose how I exercise that energy. See, if I'm gonna say this, the value of shadow work is that it gives you power and it gives you options. If all I can do is be nice, if that's my default and I can't do anything but be nice, then me being nice to you is not gonna have, it's gonna have a certain level of power, but it's gonna be a very limited, it's gonna be a very limited sense of power. But if I have the ability to be mean, and I have the ability to be mean, but I also have the ability to be nice, and I have these options, but I chose to take all of this power, this capability, and put it towards this one intention and this focus. It's a lot more powerful. That nice is gonna have a lot more energy because it's not just a shallow end. It's not just shallow, and it goes the same for the other side. If I'm just mean and I don't have the capacity to be nice, you know, I'm one dimensional. I'm not gonna have access to certain things. I mean, somebody who had that disposition could tell you more about that because I don't really have that disposition, you know. But I guess balance, man. Shadow work makes you whole, and that balance gives you power. So yeah, just let's embrace our pain. Let's culture our pain, and let's learn like to to make sure that our our pain and our struggles and anything associated with power serves us rather than be our masters. We are the masters of ourselves. This path that we are on is a path of self mastery where we are masters of ourselves. Even the strongest urges and the strongest natural elements that live within us cannot control us. Money is a very powerful servant, but it is a very poor master. Lust, same thing. You know, your shadow self. If you are repressing the part of you that you don't like, rather than embracing it, integrating it, and then utilizing it to feed your will, your wholeness, and your intention, then you're living limited and not completely embodying the fullness of the glory that you are. You know, hate to be the bearer of bad news about that, but I am thankful to be the light bearer in that. I notice in the Bible how they call Satan the light bearer, the person that brings the light. Ain't that weird? I've always thought that was weird. Bringing the light bearer, being associated with Lucifer. But I ain't gonna speak on things I don't fully know about. Uh, that being said, that's the message today. A little different groove, but like I said, I'm gonna give y'all me. You know, it's not about being perfect; it's about being real. You know, so um, today was different. Tomorrow is my day that I give to myself as an off day. Literally, y'all, on this journey of entrepreneurship and just, you know, carving out my own path. Weekend don't exist. It don't exist. Like every day is a work day for me. Every day, you know, until I give myself that that time off. And so, you know, I try to be balanced, and that's something I'm struggling with. It's just keeping that balance, getting myself to sit down and not work. But that's something that this breakthrough and this new timeline is giving me. It's very graceful with me. Like I could tell it's here, and it's giving me time to recalibrate. And if things are moving slow with you, perhaps that's why. You know, maybe you're getting a period of grace to calibrate into this timeline. So if things are very different, that could be exactly what's going on. So that being said, man, uh, whether you are struggling, barely making ends meet, or you're at the pinnacle of your success, The greatest place that you could come from is right where you are. Not perfect, just real. The vibration of real as you are embodies you, your light and your darkness. A whole being is always better than the positive one or negative one. So I wish you peace, love, and abundance every single day, especially when it rains. Like always, your man D Hamp, signing out.